Is the Bible really holy? Because it's referred to as the Holy Bible, isn't it? Yes, it is. So the word holy, because one must remember that the Old Testament, okay, was written from Greek, was translated from Hebrew to Greek. Although there are no original Hebrew texts, we're not going to jump into that right now, right? We're going to touch on Greek because that is what we have. The oldest Bible is the Septuagint Greek. There are no original Hebrew documents. I will say again, there are no original Hebrew documents, family. So the origin of that Bible is Greek in origin. Let's get that straight, right? So let's keep it moving. The word holy, all right, comes from the Phoenician heli. The Phoenician word heli, because Phoenician is a type of language as well spoken by the Phoenicians, right? Now, from which hell or Helios, right, the Greek comes from. Now, Helios in Greek, in English, it means sun. So the word holy here for Holy Bible, right, would actually be Helios if we're taking it back to the original language that it was written in, right? So holy, instead of holy, is going to be Helios. Now, the word Bible is derived from the ecclesiastical Latin biblios and from Greek biblia, which means papers or book. So ultimately, if we have to take these two components and put them together, the name Holy Bible would actually mean sun book or sun papers. Okay? So this sun book, it represents some of the knowledge of the children of the sun, as recorded by the original inhabitants of Kemet. All right? When I say this, I don't mean the Bible was written by them. As I said earlier, sorry, it has been plagiarized, and as a result, the stories and the mythologies, okay, have been copied and even put into a European construct and even distorted, okay, family, to aid these religious institutions within the aspect of slavery. All right? So, having said that, the Holy Bible actually means sun papers. So, the biblical Jesus, for the most part, would be the sun in the sky. Is that far-fetched, family? I mean, if the family has been tuning into our past videos, our videos on the channel there, you would get some indication that this is what we are trying to signify and highlight to you, you know? And it's just too much of a coincidence to be incorrect. So, while the origin of the book still brings debate, these scriptures, okay, it's a script, you know, you write scripts for when you're doing movies, when you're doing plays, family. These things never actually transpired. Okay? So these scriptures over the years have been copied, plagiarized, and given back to us in a European construct, as I briefly stated. So Holy Bible means sun book or sun papers. All right? We need to get that straight. Now, straight off my phone, family, you can see I got some WhatsApp messages waiting. Pinterest want to send me a few, you know, ideas there and what have you, and my alarm or whatever, 85% battery. I took this screenshot to basically show from an English website, okay, express.co.uk. All right. This shocking claim, as they say, the story of Jesus was copied from prior religions to control the people. They say it's a shock and it's a claim. Why is it shocking right now that people are getting to know the truth? Huh? Because we can actually prove that it was copied. If the family did tune into my Truth About Jesus Christ video or lecture, what have you, we actually went into the belly of this, I mean, not Jonah, we didn't go in Jonah in the fish belly like Jonah, but we went into the belly of this, basically debunking this control mechanism, right? Now, this Bible, okay, and basically it all surrounds Israel, right, family? There is a book called The Bible Unearthed by an Israel Finkelstein. It was published in 2001. He, Israel Finkelstein, is the director of Tel Aviv University, excavations in Israel, and he shows how archaeological evidence disproves the existence of Abraham and other Hebrew patriarchs. So if this guy, who is the director of Tel Aviv University, this is in Israel, he conducted exhibitions and he wrote a book showing that there is no historical evidence for these characters, as I stated earlier within the presentation. So I'm basically laying all this premise to just show you that these stories are not literal, family, though there are different analogies, okay, and different understandings we could extract from them to apply to ourselves. We must never be caught up, you know, trying to think that these things actually transpire, these things actually happen. All right, let's keep it moving. So, Bible and astrotheology. Astrological ages in the Bible. So, what is astrotheology? What is astrology? The classic Greek word for a star, everyone should know what a star is. In English, the word star in Greek, it was called Astar, right? And Astar would usually mean one star, okay? Or Astra would basically be the plural, referring to many stars, okay? And then the Latin borrowed this Greek word as Astra, all right? And in English, it turned to Astra. Now, the ancients had basically a little, talk running and saying, if you do not know the asters, you listening, family? If you do not know the asters, then your life will become a disaster. Can we relate, family? Can we relate? Because we did show in the Zoo in the Sky and all my other videos that basically, we have to pay attention to the zodiacs because each of us were basically born in one of them. Our sun, which is the life giver within our solar system, traverses through all the zodiac signs. All right. Each zodiac sign carries a certain amount of energy and frequency with it, as all light has an electromagnetic spectrum. Okay. This spectrum doesn't only contain visible light, it also contains radio waves, which is basically a degree of light in the spectrum. Radio waves are a type of radiation that carries sound messages. So what I'm basically saying here, family, not only will the sun communicate to us, but also these other stars, because stars are really suns, distant suns, okay? These other suns communicate and have an effect of life on Earth as well as the sun. So this is why the ancients said, if you do not know your asters, your life will become a disaster. And we don't want that, do we? I mean, black people is already enough shit as it is, okay? So astro now would be of or relating to the stars, celestial objects in our space. The word theo was the ancient word basically speaking about God. So whenever you said theo, you are speaking about God. Now imagine presently we have the word the, where we just cancel the O. Are you trying to tell me in every sentence we begin it with God? The cat jump, the cow jump over the moon? Really? So so is God, cow jump over the moon, but the cow still has a high significance, which we're gonna get into. So theo is relating to God, and ology would be a subject of study. So the words together, astrotheology, would basically be the study of God through the stars, family. Understood? Right? Let's keep it moving. Now, the Bible actually forbids its followers, its adherents, its zealots, to have a look at the stars, even forbids them to even go into Egypt. The pastor says it all the time. Don't, go into the stars. All you need is the Bible. Just read the Bible and you're good, right? But this astrotheology is nothing, they're not no joke thing, family. Okay? These individuals, okay, take for example, these major car companies I have right here. These individuals know and actually study the stars for major companies. Last time I taking a walk down my road there, they have a man down the road that have one of these Mini Cooper Countryman. It was nighttime and, checking out the stroll. And the man opened his door and I seen the wing symbol. You understand? I seen Behiditi on the road. So it's like at the bottom of his door has a light that reflects the image of the mini symbol, which is the sun, the Egyptian sun disk symbol. Right, family? So if you see the mini and you see this right here, you can see it is the very same symbol. Aston Martin also has the same symbol as well. They just didn't put the sun in. Mini has it, but while they have the sun on the wings, okay, they remove the two serpents. Now, if one recalls, I mean, the Bible freaks should know this. Malachi chapter 4, verse 2. God says, and unto you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness arise with healing in his wings. What? Are you talking about the deity, God? I mean, that's the only place I can actually Mini Cooper and Aston Martin, right? So if you're referring to the Egyptian sun, this symbol, you basically trying to inquire that I should go and find out about this thing in Egypt. But then you say, you know, don't go into Egypt, it's full of idols and what have you. But this is where the truth lies. Our ancestors left those images, okay, that they refer to as Meduneta, which is the writings of God, and later the Greeks translated to the hieroglyphics. Right, family? So we can see now the sun, okay, which is basically in the celestial heavens, this image being used within major car companies. Even Toyota, we can see that the Taurus bull, right, the head of the Taurus bull, is still quite closely linked to the Taurus symbol within the zodiac. Okay? The Leo, the Peugeot, sorry, you know, the brand Peugeot, it is off of the Leo constellation. And lastly, we have Aries, right? And the car company named Mazda is actually taking their model from to create the logo. Okay, family? So let's get into this. I just had to touch upon that to just show you this astrotheology thing is no joke. We may take it for a joke, you know, and say, you know, that is just a stars and I'm just studying the stars and thing. And yeah, I don't want my life to be a disaster, right? But you won't understand that because you don't even want to do research and all that. But this is for the woke nation. Melanated Empire, I hope everyone is having a good evening. I hope everyone not too hot or nothing. I just open the window, get some fresh breeze flowing in, and we're going to do this. So, the sun, which is Atumra, right? The ancients referred to it as Atumra when it emerged out of the primordial waters called Nu. Atumra because the sun really is an atom. The sun has an electric light core, okay? And electrons, the planets, which vortex, some say, okay, or revolve around the sun, could be seen as its electrons. But even within the sun itself, okay, that electric light core consists of electricity and magnetism, which is caused by the hydrogen and helium atoms. Right, family? Now, the sun is also the lucent one. The lucent one. Lucent? Lucent actually means glowing with or giving light. Now, lucent is synonymous with Lucifer. So the sun, who is the Most High, who is Ra, who is Helios in Greek, okay, is also Lucifer family. All right? Now, in the top left corner of the screen, we see here Heru M. Aketi, which the Greeks and most people call the Sphinx. The Sphinx is actually a depiction of astrological movements. It is basically depicting the great year, because our ancestors within in Kemet in Egypt began the great year at the constellation, well, the Greeks, what we know now as Virgo, but Virgo was actually Isis. So the whole zodiac belt was actually the girdle of Isis. Okay, and if you begin at Isis and you make a complete 360, the zodiac above Isis or below Isis, depending on which direction you go to, right, is actually Leo the lion. So the Sphinx is the head of a woman, the head of Isis, and the body of a lion. So this basically is an indication that our ancestors were basically studying the stars, right? Now, the sun within ancient cultures was used to denote time, okay? We have 12 hours in a day, 12 hours of light, 12 hours of darkness, all right? 365 and a quarter days gives us a year. And then 26,000 years gives us what we call the great year, or the precision of the equinoxes. Okay, family? And all of us should know the three L's of the sun. The sun gives us light, that divine light energy, that electromagnetic spectrum. Okay, it gives us life, because we have also proven directly and indirectly that the sun is responsible for all life on earth. If the sun, I mean, come on, people have been waiting for Jesus for how long now? I mean, my grandmother, my great grandmother, they've been waiting for Jesus for how long? And isn't the earth still going on? Isn't everything still happening? You know, so to just say in a nutshell, life is carrying on the earth, right? And we ain't even seen Jesus' ass yet. Just tell the sun to disappear for just 3 or 4 weeks, family, and you're going to see the chaos, right? And the pandemonium that's going to go on in the streets. Okay? So we better wake up tonight. We better really find out who, okay, is responsible for all life. Who or what, I should say rather, is responsible for all life on earth. Right? So the sun, because everything in our solar system is dependent upon it, and because it itself is an atom, right? That's why they say all is atom. Because everything it has radiated into existence can be broken down into the very smallest particle. So everything that has substance, if you break down that substance into the smallest particle, you will get an atom. We as human beings are composed of atoms. The plants, you know, the animals, everything natural is composed of atoms. All of it vibrated into existence, okay, from the divine light energy from atom. So all is atom. Now, the oldest book of the Bible, family. This can be researched as well. The book of Job is the oldest book of the Bible. Okay? Within Job, we find evidence of astrology, and being the oldest book, it should be easy to denote what was the ancient ways of veneration of the divine consciousness. The divine consciousness is, I mean, just another word for what they call God. But we use that word to differentiate it, because God now has been anthropomorphized in the shape of a man seated in heaven with beard and, you know, long hair and judging everything you do. So if we refer to it as divine consciousness, it gives instantly the idea and the concept that it is not an actual being. Okay? So in Job chapter 9, verse 9, God is basically speaking, and he said, which maketh Arcturus, Orion, and Pleiades, and the chambers of the sun. In Job 38, he's still going on, and he says, canst thou bind the sweet influences of Pleiades, or loose the bands of Orion? Canst thou bring forth Mazzaroth in his season, or canst thou guide Arcturus with his sons? So, I mean, those verses aren't even read to most Christians in the church, so they wouldn't even have no idea what I'm talking about. But if one were to just read these verses or these scriptures, okay, you will get the idea or the impression that it's actually speaking about an individual, especially in Job 38:32. He said, canst thou bring forth Mazzaroth in his season? Like, you know, Mazzaroth probably is some Belgian and they have a season where he's doing something, and can you bring him out? Or can you guide Arcturus with his sons? Arcturus has sons. So straight off the bat, when you're reading this, you would actually think it's speaking about people. And that is why this book is heavily coded, family. Okay? This is a Masonic book which is heavily coded. We need to get this straight. Black people need to, if you're not going to just debunk this book, or don't even really waste much time debunking it, because there is so much spiritual information out there that can assist you, right, in becoming your higher self and help you elevate into that truly ethereal or light being that you should be while having a physical experience on this thing. Because this book, when you get into this book, I'm telling you, man, it's like my man said, it's like your soul is being trapped in a lamp. It's like your soul and the Bible, the book, or the Quran, or whichever holy book it is, your soul is just going and being trapped in there. You see, family, so we need to break away from all these traps. We're not no rat, we're not no cockroach, nothing like that. No can't put no trap for us. You understand? So we need to wake up tonight. We need to wake up, family. So when you refer to these individuals, you'd actually think it's people. But when you go deeper into the science now, right, you'll actually find out that it's actually speaking about stars. Now, remember, the book of Job, as I said, is the oldest book. So if the oldest book is speaking about stars and constellations, why is it forbidden again, family, for us to look to the stars and get to know them a bit better? Don't you think if we were taught that the story of Jesus being crucified is actually the sun, okay, going through the winter solstice, don't you think probably the youths would have been more inclined, probably every Christmas, around the time of Christmas, to actually pay attention to the heavens and notice the sun going through its transitions, right? But instead, you gave us this fictional story for mental slavery, to just basically decapitate us mentally. Because if you have this idea that someone is coming to save you and make everything better, why would you even raise a finger to do anything? I mean, the Almighty Jesus is coming, gonna crack the sky with 200,000 saints. Mind you, God can create everything on his own, create woman from man's rib, but to set judgment on the earth and to take the earth back, Jesus needs to break out the sky with 2,000 saints. Really? What happened to your power? What happened to it? So anyway, not to carry off on a tangent. Arcturus, okay, family, as we just read previously in Job 38:32, canst thou bring forth Mazzaroth in his season, or canst thou guide Arcturus with his sons? Arcturus is the brightest star in the northern celestial hemisphere and the fourth brightest star in the night sky. So this is the Boots constellation, as the family can see right here, okay? And Arcturus is the brightest star of that constellation. So when you're saying, can you guide Arcturus with his sons? This is Arcturus, and this is Arcturus' sons. Family, are you following me? Are you following me, family? Okay? The Pleiades. I mean, most of us should know that the Pleiades sister star constellation. I mean, without us even going into that. Okay? The Pleiades is an open star cluster system nearest to the Earth. It is also referred to as the Seven Sisters, and it is located in the constellation of Taurus. Family, I'm not sure whether I mentioned this on any of my videos, but we do have a WhatsApp group where I did highlight to the family that they should basically download this app called Star Tracker. Okay, this app basically highlights all the constellations for you, and you can see the transition, okay, of the sun through all the constellations. When it passes through Scorpio, and Scorpio is symbolic of Judas Iscariot. When it goes through, you know, the Southern Crux, which is the Southern Cross, when it rises 1 degree to makes it journey back to the Northern Hemisphere, you can see everything, family. You can even see the Pleiades constellation within Taurus. I've studied that app so much, I can just look at the sky, tell where Taurus is, tell where Orion is, Sirius, and almost all of them, family. Okay? We need to get to know these things. Right? So Arcturus, Pleiades, these aren't people, these are stars and constellations. And lastly, we have Orion. Okay? And Orion is a prominent constellation located on the celestial equator, named after the huntsman in Greek mythology. Right? Greek mythology. But this goes back much older, okay, to our ancestors in Kemet, which when Osar or Osiris resurrected, okay, and became Lord of the North and Southern Hemisphere, and he became Orion. Right, family? So it's all mythology, yes, but it has a deeper science to it. So when it says, can thou tell Mazzaroth? I think it said about, can thou tell Mazzaroth? The word Mazzaroth is derived from an ancient Hebrew Phoenician word, which means constellations. Okay? It is also known as Zodiac, and it is the name given to the pattern of stars found on the ecliptic. Okay, family? So I'm going back again. So when it says, canst thou bring forth Mazzaroth in his season? Can thou bring forth the constellations in their season? Because there are 12 constellations, we have 3 constellations to every season, family. All right? I hope I'm explaining this as much as I can, family. I need the family to get this, so we're not going to go back on this. All right? Now, what is an astrological age? Remember I said that they have 365 and quarter days in a year, right? And we have between 24,000 and 26,000 years every great year. Every great year means when the sun actually passes through all the constellations. Okay? Now, mind you, every month, because of the rotation of the Earth, okay, around the sun, it actually appears that the sun resides in a constellation every month. And as a result, 12 constellations, 12 months. But then what some of us don't know is our sun is in binary with another star called the star Sirius. And as a result, that revolution with Sirius, okay, is kind of in an anti-clockwise motion. And it goes through the same constellation very slowly. So the sun now spends 2,160 years in every constellation when it goes through the zodiac counterclockwise. I hope I explained myself well, family. But as I move on and we get into it, you're going to understand it a bit more. So, an astrological age is a time period in astrological theology which parallels major changes in the development of Earth's inhabitants, particularly relating to culture, society, and politics. Now, it parallels major changes in the development of Earth's inhabitants. Family, remember when I just stated that if the sun is having an influence on us due to its electromagnetic spectrum, so will do the constellations because they are suns emitting light as well. So this is why it says it affects major changes on Earth. Right? Now there are 12 astrological ages corresponding to the 12 zodiac signs in Western astrology. Now, they really had to be 13. The reason it is not 13 is because 13 signifies the feminine, right? Because in time immemorial, in time before, our ancestors actually used lunar calendars, family. Because while the sun was used to denote a day, the moon was used to denote months. And the moon is symbolic, is basically highly linked with water and linked to women as well, because when women go through the menstrual cycle, okay, is the same 28-day cycle. So if every month had 28 days, family, we would actually have 13 months. But to suppress the feminine, okay, when we came into the Western world, the Greeks and the Romans, suppress that number 13, took the 13 months, divided the days among the rest of the 12 months, and basically just gave us a 12-month calendar, which both not Julius, Pope Gregory, because Julius Caesar, okay, which is basically the calendar they follow in Ethiopia, has 13 months, right? So advocates believe that when one cycle of the 12 astrological ages is completed, another cycle of 12 ages begins, okay? The length of one cycle of 12 ages is approximately 26,000 years. Some astrologers believe that during a given age, some events are directly caused or indirectly influenced by the astrological sign associated with that age. Okay, family? So let's keep it moving. This basically is the zodiac wheel or horoscope or horoscope. Horoscope, because the sun, right, within the mythos of Oset, the sun takes on the role of Heru or Horus, which is the son of Osiris. Okay? Now, there is a deeper science in that Horus is not the sun directly, but the divine light energy emanating from the sun is what they refer to as Heru. Okay? But that's just a deeper science, but to just touch upon it, the sun traverses the zodiac, will go through the 12 constellations. So the sun is actually Horus, they refer to the sun as Horus. So this is horoscope, which is why everyone belongs to a horoscope, okay, or Horus vision. So as a family, we'll see here every spring equinox. The spring equinox, here we have the equator, okay, and basically when, excuse me, family, and basically when the sun passes over. Pass over? I think we're roughly around the time of Passover, or has it passed yet? Okay, has it passed over yet? So when the sun passes over the equator, that's when the Jews and Judaism worship the Passover, or they basically take that holiday into significance. So the equinox is when you have equal day and equal night. So we have the spring equinox here at one point and the autumn equinox at the other point. Summer solstice is when the sun is highest in the sky. We have the summer solstice, okay, highest or lowest in the sky. So with the summer solstice in June, it is highest in the sky, and winter solstice is the lowest in the sky. All right, family. And as we can see, the four seasons: spring, summer, autumn, and winter. Right? Okay. Now, heralding the astrological ages. So the astrological ages are going to be coming in right now. The individual referred to as Abraham is the first instance we get of an impending astrological age. Abraham's father was Terah, and with his wife or half sister, which means Sarah. Okay? The three major religions of the world all have their origin within this one individual, Father Abraham. Have many sons, Father Abraham, I'm not your son, because you never existed. Okay? Now, because they have this origin within this individual, this is why they are referred to as Abrahamic religions. And unfortunately, Rastafarianism does fall under the Abrahamic religions. I didn't say it, you can look it up yourself, man. All it takes is a little research. But what is ironic, however, is that in the same Bible, in the book of Galatians, chapter 2, okay, it says that the story of Abraham and Sarah is an allegory. Now, family, an allegory simply means that it is basically just a story to show you a greater point. It had a greater significance. Okay? Meaning the story they gave you didn't actually happen. These individuals never existed. So if your own Bible is saying that the story of Abraham and Sarah is an allegory, why are you still trying to make the story true or make it literal or actually look for evidence of these individuals having existed? There is a deep etymology even within these individuals' name, within what they did, and the time frame they lived. Family, it goes deep. That's why I'm telling you this book is heavily coded. Okay? Now, if we have a look at this cracker's name, Abram. Ab means father, okay? And Ram. Has anyone ever come across ram in the Bible? Anything to do with ram or goat or lamb or so he's father Ram? Father Ram, family? But then his name actually got turned to Abraham. So Ab means father, Ra, the son, and Ham means hot or black. Remember, Ham was one of the sons of Noah, and Noah actually cursed Ham's son Canaan. Black people are actually the children of Ham because Ham is the progenitor of the black race, of the melanated race. Okay? So this individual never existed, but then this story was created about him to bring about a specific understanding that we, as melanated individuals, ninth Ifa nation, tend to overlook, all in an effort to try to make this story ours, right? And prove that we are the ones in the Bible. Okay? But anyway, most of you should know the story of Abraham, how God told him, well, he said God told him to kill your son. But kill your son. What the fuck? What? Who said that? You said that to yourself. What are you talking about, cracker? And then you want to come and talk about God told you to kill your son? Schizophrenic Abraham. Right? So meet Abraham, family, the father of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Why is a person who would murder his own child simply because a voice in his head told him so? Right? Someone the whole world demands we admire and follow. Father Abraham. And you don't want to tell me religion is lunacy? Well, it was founded by a lunatic. How could you something tell you kill your son? Come on, man. Come on, Abraham. Wake up, man. And this is Sarah's reaction. Sarah, hey, hon, how was your day? Abraham, I tried to sacrifice Isaac earlier, but God provided a ram. What? What the fuck, nigga? What? You try to sacrifice our son? Why? Because a voice in your head told you so? Come on, family. When we were younger, we used to drink these stories, man, and even sing Father Abraham in church. No more of this. This is the time of the awakening. We need to wake up and realize that shit was just a story. It never happened, never will happen, never transpired. Okay? But then, to fool us or bamboozle us, they go ahead and create all these artistic depictions and drawings, of the so-called events as though they actually transpired, right? So we can see here in this drawing, this guy is actually holding Isaac. Isaac is just lying down there like, okay, father, since God told you to do it, I'm just going to lie down there and let you just stab my neck and let the blood gush out. Really? Yo, I'll be busting your head. I'll be fighting with you. You want to kill me for your Lord Jehovah? I mean, why does he want my blood? I mean, I know he's a vampire, he's a bloodthirsty god, but why my blood, man? Shit. So much to the point that he was so close to doing it, the angel of the Lord had to come and tell him, no, Abraham, God changed his mind. Here's a ram caught, caught in the bush there. You can sacrifice the ram instead. Another thing, why does this God always need some sacrifice, some smell of some meat there burning up, as though it's when you're passing on the road there, right in bars and you're smelling how much barbecue on grill burning, as though it's that God like, of barbecue and thing burning on grill and come on, man. So while Abraham was having an episode of his mental illness, when he said a voice told him to sacrifice his son Isaac, right? It is said that an angel appeared to him and told him, plans change, AB. AB, plans change, man. He doesn't have to sacrifice, you don't have to sacrifice your son no more. And the Lord sent a ram, and it was caught in the nearby thicket. So this analogistic history, family, is highlighting what is to happen astrologically. Okay? And we'll see the significance of why it is a ram that was caught in the thicket and not a chicken. Okay? So this basically is signifying the first astrological age. Right. Now, since we have come across astrology in the oldest book of the Bible, which is the book of Jude, in specific 3 star systems, okay, it is evident that one of these clusters are associated with one of the constellations, zodiac or houses, and that is the constellation of Taurus. Okay, family? Because as I read earlier, the Pleiades constellation is associated with Taurus. Now, since Job is the oldest book of the Bible, and Pleiades is associated with Taurus, we're going to begin it right there. Okay? Now, this start frame also coincides with the belief of those who subscribe to the scriptures literally, that the earth is roughly just 6,000 years old. And I'll show you why. Because from Taurus, okay, and then going into the age of Aquarius, which we are currently, remember the sun spends roughly 2,160 years in every constellation. So those religious zealots or those people that tell you that the earth is no older than 6,000 years old, we can actually see where they're coming up with this shit. Because if Job is the oldest book, Job speaks about the Pleiades constellation. The Pleiades constellation is linked, the Pleiades star cluster, is linked to the Taurus constellation. Okay, so Taurus would have to be the starting point of when these people start the indoctrination with the Masonic book. Right? Now, proof of this is Taurus is a bull. Am I right or am I wrong, family? Taurus is a bull. Okay? Now, many of you have seen that story, where the Hebrew Israelites or whatever leave Egypt and whatever. I mean, the movie plays every Christmas, every Easter, what have you. I'm sure we're going to have lots of it coming on the weekend. And I hope none of my family is celebrating this Easter Ishtar bullshit. Okay? I mean, those of you who fast for your Lent and stuff, I hope you are more spiritually inclined and not more spiritually retarded. Okay? Not throwing shots, but I'm just saying that we need to wake up to these things, man. When you think you're fasting for Jesus, an individual who never existed, you're actually fasting for taboos, right? If you're fasting basically for your moral, your spiritual discipline and your moral discipline, right, and your integrity, why did you even have to fast within that time period when you know now what it signifies? Okay, family. But again, I don't want to go off. Let us get back to this. This story you're seeing right here never happened because there was no Moses who came to deliver no children of Israel from the hand of no Pharaoh. No Pharaoh, okay, didn't drown in no Red Sea. Right, family? Let me give you the reality of this story. In 1650 BC, okay, a set of individuals known as the Hyksos, Hyksos translates to shepherds kings, or they were referred to as Hikshasu, all right? These individuals left Asia Minor and because of famine, okay, a handful of them, and came into Egypt. As a result, they stayed and they took over Kemet for quite a few years until in the 18th dynasty when they were run out and kicked out, okay, by one Amos Nefertari, okay, Queen Amos Nefertari and her king Pharaoh Amos, right? But they wasn't led by no Moses. No Moses didn't go up on no mountain. None of that shit happened. But these stories, when they make these movies, they are basically showing you that what they learned for the time while in Kemet, while in Egypt. So that's why I said, family, these stories have some truth in them, but they have been plagiarized. Okay? Now, if the family knows, okay, within Kemet, we have many attributes that we anthropomorphize as beings, which are basically different elements of the divine consciousness. One of the zoomorphic representations of that essence would be in the form of a cow. Okay? We're going to get into this. I'm going to explain to you later on, or in the next slide, rather. So it is said, according to the story, when the children of Israel left Egypt, all right, and Moses was leading them in the wilderness. Moses was sort of lost, so he went up onto Mount Sinai to ask for direction. That's another lie, because there's no mountain actually called Mount Sinai. It's actually two things into one, because Sin was the ancient word for the moon, and Ai was what they refer to as mountain. So Sinai is actually word for the moon of the mountain, if you want to say it like that. Which is why Judaism, okay, deals with a lot of moon worship, and Christianity deals with sun worship, because remember, Jesus is the sun. But in regards to Moses now, when the Sinai thing is concerned, it deals with the moon. That's why when they started all the religious observations, they do it at sunset, because the moon is just about to come out. So Moses was lost for directions, right? So he went up on Mount Sinai to ask Lord for directions. So while he was gone, I don't know how long the nigga stayed up there. The people were getting a bit fed up, and they're like, Aaron, Aaron, or whatever his name was. Moses ain't coming down. I don't know what happened to him up there. Like, can you make a God for us? Again, the indoctrination of perceiving that divinity is always outside of you. Okay? Everything we're looking for is within, family. I think, in the best of my knowledge, I have demonstrated that we are an extension of the divine consciousness. Okay? So what we are looking for on the outside is actually within. But then here you go in the Bible, and we have certain nigguses or Negroes, right, who subscribe to this thing wholeheartedly and think that, oh, I gotta look for God outside of me, right? And I gotta wait for this God. But anyway, they were like, yo, Aaron, man, this guy ain't coming back. Come and make us a God, let we worship and let we do something. So Aaron goes ahead and take all the gold, all the earrings. Mind you, this is another lie. How could we just run you out? You just left Egypt, okay? You guys were slaves according to your story, allegedly. You were slaves in Egypt. Where did you get all the gold for Aaron to be melting gold to make a golden calf? Family, we need to put one and one together. And we put one and one together, we see in these 11 we get in, not 2. So we know he's alive. Because slaves wouldn't have all that gold to make this image. Okay? But anyway, let's just carry on. I like to carry on with this story to just, for entertainment. So Aaron now, according to Exodus 32 verse 4, and he received them at their hand and fashioned it with a graving tool, and he had made it a molten calf. And they said, these be thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt. So now, when the pastor is preaching this shit to you, you'll be like, you see, so they created idols to worship, and it's all idol worship because they just left Egypt. Mind you, they just left Egypt, and what do they erect? They erect the mother goddess. Plagiarized concept, family? The symbol of the calf, the cow or the bull, dates back to early antiquity, where our ancestors of ancient Kemet venerated the goddess Hathor Sekhmet. Not a god per se, but as attributes of love, joy, dance, motherhood, as I said earlier. At times in the zoomorphic representation of a cow. Hathor and Isis and or Set is also synonymous, family. So within etymology, we can see how we have Hathor, then we have the Torah, right? Scramble the letters around. Then we have the tarot, the tarot cards. Then we have Thor, Scandinavian. We have Toro, and then we get Taurus, family. And from Taurus, we can still get Horus. Okay? So Hathor now then gives birth to the Apis bull. Okay? And if the family knows Apis bull, Ptolemy the First actually combined the concept of the Apis bull with Osiris to give us Oserapis, which is the first European ugly ass sculpture I've ever seen with a flower vase on his head. I don't know what the shit that is, but I'm not going to go into that right now. So the Greeks came in later and copied the concept, which they also included in their mythology, the concept of Hathor being the cow goddess. And it became popular myth that Taurus, the Taurus bull, was Zeus, the god Zeus, disguised as a white bull to entice European. Mind you, Zeus and European, all these things are still stars, family. Okay? Now, Hathor, okay, took on the zoomorphic representation of the cow because of its nurturing principles. As we can see in the bottom here, you will see this individual right here actually suckling on the nipple to get that nourishment from the cow. This is why we use the cow. This is why we use the zoomorphic representation, okay, to show that nurturing aspect. Now, this is also symbolic in the universe as well, because as below, so above. I just flip it around because as above, so below, as below, so above, family. Because our universe, which is a giant email, also comprises of a Milky Way. Are you with me, family? You see what I'm saying? So it had nothing to do with idol worship. These individuals who just left, well, not just left, who were just kicked out of Egypt, left with the concept of the divine goddess worship. Okay? And we can even see it upon the Melanated, the hieroglyphs. This is actually a relief at the temple of Hathor in Dendera. All right, family? So all this is still circulating around this individual called Moses. So we're going to be debunking Moses, because even though I say these individuals never existed, some people still, going to be like, nah, this guy's just saying that and just to get us on his way or whatever. Yo, I was riding this wave for quite some time. I mean, the family knows, or some of the family knows, I was actually a Mushanti, so I was really on this Father Moses thing and Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob bullshit and all that. I was actually on that. So if now I come across some information that, yo, I gotta put that shit to a side. You know what I mean? I didn't just do that just out of ego being egotistical and just for spite to just say, oh, no, I'm searching for truth, family. And this truth that I have come across, we at Melanated Empire, that we are basically highlighting to the ninth Ether Nation, okay, is so liberating. And this will put you well on your path to achieving your higher self, because you will be no longer bound by these stories, okay, like a shackle around your neck, or like you, like your soul, like a genie in a lamp, right? And you can ascend to the higher realms of consciousness, family. Okay? So let's debunk this. I don't even want to call him a bedroom. You're not my bedroom, bro. You're just a old cracker that think you can read Hebrew. But let's go on. Debunking Moses. Is Moses King Sargon of Akkad? Of Akkad or Akkad, or however you want to say. I just say Akkad. Akkad sounds strange, you know. The time frame of existence given to Moses is 1391 BCE to 1271 BCE. King Sargon of Akkad is 2334 BCE and 2279 BCE. So it actually shows that the story of King Sargon, okay, is much older than the story of Moses. How is that so? How is that so, family? I thought Moses was the original and they never had no other like Moses, and you know. So what's this I'm hearing now, Moses? You're going to start questioning your existence. Okay? Moses is also closely linked to another individual called Mysis. No, this shit is just, yo, I'm telling you, family, when I was doing this research, I was just shaking my head, man. I was like, what? Come on, man, not another one. And another one. Okay? So, Sargon's mother, who was a priestess, she bore him in secret. That's how the story goes. But when Moses was born, he had to be hidden. Doesn't that sound like the same thing, family? Sargon was placed in a reed basket. So was Moses. The basket was sealed with bitumen. It's kind of like, you know, a sealing substance, like a sealant. And Moses' basket was sealed with slime and pitch. Sargon's basket was sent down the river. So was Moses' basket. Sargon merged into royalty and became heir to the throne. Moses was taken in by royalty and he becomes heir to the throne. Family, these stories are too coincidental to be, you know, for it to be fake. So this is basically show you that the story of Moses was copied from an earlier myth, which I have actually shown in other videos where even the story of Jesus was taken from earlier myths as well. And some will say, oh, it's not Jesus. Well, Jesus didn't exist, you know, 2,000 years ago. Is Joshua. What? Bro, Joshua and Jesus is the same nigga. What are you talking about? When are we going to come out of this matrix? You think what? Because you paint Jesus black now, you think it's okay, and you think that actually give him credit to exist 2,000 years ago? Come on, man. So anyway, let's study the life of Moses. It actually gives the life of Moses in 3 stages. In some book of the Bible, it's not really, can't really get to it right now. But just look at the pictures of this guy. It's like all of them went to this. Do these guys have the same barbershop? Were they even barbershops back in the day? Because apparently all of them have the beard and the haircut almost the very same way. Right? Now, for the first 40 years of Moses, remember, he was rescued from the Nile, according to the story. He became part of Egyptian royalty and he was taught in all the wisdom of the Egyptians. Right? He was learned well in Hebrew. Right? No, sorry. He learned he is a Hebrew rather, and he kills one of Pharaoh's soldiers and then he flees from Egypt. This happened when he was 40. So he flees from Egypt and he goes in the wilderness. When he turns 80, right, while wandering in the wilderness, he comes to Midian, okay, and he becomes a shepherd and he marries Zipporah. So if he goes to Midian and he marries Zipporah, it's obvious that Zipporah is a Midianite. Okay? Let's touch on Zipporah quickly. Zipporah is a Midianite. Who are the Midianites, family? Don't mind all these freaking names, Cushites, Jebusites, and all these sites naming in the Bible. A Midianite, if you do your research, are highly linked to the Cushites. And the Cushites are Ethiopians, family. So look at the knife in the chest, yeah? Look at the knife in the chest. After Moses marries Zipporah, and he goes back to them, okay? Aaron and all the rest of the people are quite pissed off that he married a Midianite, that Moses was married to an Ethiopian woman. That's what it says. That's what the story says. Then later on, the Lord God, told Israel to kill all the Midianites, family. Kill all the Midianites, but, let's not forget the but. Within his pedophilic nature, he actually says that all the women who haven't slept with a man, meaning all the virgins, y'all can keep them for yourselves. Kill everything else, but keep the virgins. What kind of sick God is this, man? This guy belongs in an asylum. Okay? But I just had to touch upon that, Zipporah, for all my, my black activists within the Caribbean, my fellow Rastafari bedrons. That's really about Ethiopia, and Ethiopia, and you still want to advocate for this book when even the God of this book is saying to kill all Ethiopians and keep the virgins. We need to wake up today. Yeah. So carrying on, after 80 he marries Zipporah. When the cracker reaches 120 years old, he's called up onto Mount Horeb, right? And he's given the mission to deliver the people of Israel out of Egypt. So it was on the Mount Horeb that he was given the commandments, okay, and given the books, the first 5 books of Moses. But if Moses was born in Exodus, how is Genesis the first book he was given? Huh? The Bible really should start up in Exodus. If the first 5 books of the Bible are the books of Moses, and Moses actually born in Exodus, shouldn't Exodus be the very first book of the Bible? How is Moses around to even know how the earth was created, even though we have debunked that shit already? You have 4 days passing, but then the sun is created on the 4th day. I thought the sun was used to denote what a day is, God. A bit confused, aren't we? Anyway, they left Israel, and he leads Israel through the Red Sea, and then he gets the commandments on Mount Sinai, as I just stated. Okay? But why, Moses, are we wandering in the wilderness for 40 years if according to Google Maps, from Egypt to Israel, it only takes 6 days? Do you have a problem with directions? Huh, Cracker? What's up with that? A good thing they probably didn't have no vehicles, because I would have gotten there in the very same day. It takes just 9 hours and 5 minutes to get there. But you had us wandering for 40 years in the wilderness. What were we eating? Oh, I forgot. Sorry, I think the story said some quails or manna was dropping from the sky and all that bullshit. Yeah. All of this is just evidence, family, of how this story isn't true. So now, how does Moses make tea? He brews it. You get it, family? The cracker brews the tea. He brews it because he's a Hebrew. So he has to brew the tea. Okay? But what the family may not know is that Hebrew is a northwestern Semitic language native to Israel. The earliest examples of Paleo-Hebrew dates back to the 10th century BCE. Okay? Hebrew had ceased to be an everyday spoken language somewhere between 200 and 400 AD CE, right? Declining since the aftermath of the Bar Kokhba revolt. Okay? Hebrew survived into the medieval period as the language of Jewish liturgy, rabbinic literature, and inter-Jewish commerce and poetry. Then, in the 19th century, it was revived as a spoken and literary language by one Elijah ben Yehuda. in 1881 to be exact, but then it actually took paper and was actually recognized within the early 1900s. Now, as I stated, Moses never existed unless you're dealing with Moses ben Maimonides. Moses ben Maimonides was a Jewish philosopher, okay, who was very his contribution to the Torah, okay, is exceeding. He has a lot of work and a lot of writing within that Old Testament book called the Torah. He's called Moses ben Maimonides. So if you're talking about that Moses, then probably yeah. And also what even some of my top scholars might not know, Moses ben Maimon, he was actually an astrologer, which shows that these Old Testament stories are linked to the stars as well, family. Don't mind the element of truth in there to try to make you believe that the rest of the story has some factual evidence in it. No, they just somehow merge, which is why it's always a heavily coded book. They just somehow merge that little bit of history into the stars and constellations. Now, if you came into a well advanced civilization such as Egypt, Kemet, where we have been studying the stars for thousands of years, different languages, even the Greeks have attributed the architecture and the medicine and the sciences to Egypt, to Kemet. So if a people came in there, stole all those scrolls, family, and that information, don't you think over time they will be able to put a book together, and one will be like, wow, I'm heavily coded with them and speaking about that and look that linking up to the stars, but it's thief them and thief all of that. So we're not even supposed to be freaking out when the man come and try and bamboozle us with these fairy stories. Right? Now the origin of Hebrew is actually Yiddish and Germanic, spoken by the Ashkenazi Jews family. So Hebrew is actually Germanic in origin. Now, if we have to check upon the letters, okay, Paleo-Hebrew, all right, Phoenician and Paleo-Hebrew, as we see it here, was actually taken from the Proto-Sinaitic language, which was copied from the Melanated, which the Greeks call the hieroglyphics. So you can see the progression, okay, through linguistics, all right, how letters actually evolve to give us the letters that we have today, fam. So in a nutshell, what all of this is basically saying, all right, 10th century, the earliest examples of Paleo-Hebrew dates back to 10th century BC. Yet still, you can tell me Moses existed, where is it? 13, 14, almost 1400 BCE. So how can Moses speak Hebrew if the Hebrew language came out almost 400 years after the nigga died? Could someone explain that to me, please? So there is no way that Moses could have known Hebrew. But I don't want to go up into a tangent. So when we're watching those, or our parents be having these Easter movies on, and you see this part comes up where this cracker tries to play with like he's holding 2 tables of gibberish, because it's not Hebrew, because you don't understand shit that's on there, with one leg posed up on a stone. Tell him, don't imagine yourself, Moses. Don't imagine yourself. You have to stop doing magic yourself, because we are waking up to your bullshit. Okay? So Moses on the mount now. In the Old Testament, when Moses comes down Mount Sinai with the 10 Commandments family, he is very upset to now. Let me just take a second. I hope the family is enjoying the presentation. I mean, it wasn't really, I mean, as I said, we're basically trying to put in that work to give the family a beautiful lecture next week. So this here is just freestyle. I'm just freestyling. I'm just going through this. I'm just gonna open this. It is my first live. I know I probably said a million OKs and a million souls. I don't give a shit. We're just getting in raw, and I hope the family is enjoying the presentation. Okay. I can't even have a look at the chats right now, because I just want this presentation to take the whole screen, man. Fuck it. I'm going along with it. So, hope the family is having a good one. So, when this cracker comes down Mount Sinai with the 10 Commandments, he is very upset to see his people worshiping a golden bull calf. In fact, he shattered the stone tablets and instructed his people to kill each other, in order to purify themselves. Okay, so most biblical scholars would attribute this angle to the fact that the Israelites were worshiping a false idol or something to that effect. Now, notice, family, I just highlighted that this cow um, artifact or this cow representation is of a great ancestor, if you want to call it an attribute of that divine consciousness. Okay, it was depicting the feminine energy. Now, let me go off on a bit. This individual, Moses, okay, is actually coming now with a patriarchal mindset. Because remember, when he was just dick riding his God on Mount Sinai. So he's coming across now with a patriarchal mindset wherein he comes down and see the people worshiping the feminine principle. It's like, what? Yo, it's a man's world, I say, and it's God say, and God is a man, and just do away and burn this feminine image up. Okay? So that's just one understanding we can actually take from that. But what it's really trying to show is that Moses is highlighting. I hope the family hasn't forgotten that this is actually the Bible in astrological ages. Okay? Remember, the first age is the age of Taurus, and we can see that Taurus is actually linked with Hathor, okay, the cow goddess of ancient Egypt of Kemet. So that is the first astrological age, which the earth will transition for a period of 2160 years. Moses, coming from the mount, is actually going to highlight, or how would I say, commence the new age which is coming. So after Taurus, right, family? After Taurus, we're going to see what the next age is. So in Exodus 34:29, in the King James Version, this is just a mistranslation that I found. I just need to highlight for the family. In the King James Version, Exodus 34:29, it says that, and it came to pass, when Moses came down from Mount Sinai with the two tablets of testimony in his hands, when he came down from the mount, that Moses wist not that the skin of his face shone whilst he talked with him. What? Moses wist not that the skin of his face shone while he talked with him? Anyway, let's go to an earlier Bible referred to as the Latin Vulgate. Remember, before the Bible was in English, it was written in Latin. The very same verse says, and when Moses came down from the Mount Sinai, he held the two tables of testimony, and he knew not that his face was horned from the conversation of or with the Lord. And Aaron and the children of Israel, seeing the face of Moses' horn, were afraid to come near the cracker. I mean, obviously, the cracker went on the mountain. You didn't leave with no horns, and you came back and you got two horns on your head. Nigga, what did you do up there? Right? So obviously, the people are going to be afraid to come near you. Again, it's just a story, family. But this is a sculpture of Moses with his horns. Okay? So this very important point King James chose to leave out. All right, family? So let's keep it moving. I have to check my phone quickly to see if the family's with me here. See what's going on, got a couple bedrooms here. Yes. Good facts. So Moses has horns. Really? This is one depiction with him with horns, and this is another one right here. Michelangelo, who is the sculptor of these two images, depiction of Moses with horns hides an esoteric understanding as well as an underlying plagiarism. In Judaism, there is a festival called the Rosh Hashanah, where the shofar is blown to mark the commencement of that festival. Underlying plagiarism. In Judaism. Sorry about that, family. Just came on my phone now. So, this horn, right, will be blown to signify the festival. This horn is still it has an association with the horn of Moses as well. Now, I need to show the family the ram-headed symbolism in Kemet as well, because nothing of these people own our original family. These people don't have shit. They don't have shit of their own. Everything they copied from us, even though they had to plagiarize and give it to us in a different fashion, in a different way, or discover it, okay, and give it to us in a different format and make it look like they are the originators. Get the fuck out of here, man. Come on, man. Can you give Jack his jacket? Well, we're not Jack. Jack is another white man name, but I mean, give us our jacket or give us our crown, man. I want to thief everything and run away. Anyway, fam. So the ram-headed symbolism in Kemet. Okay, the symbol of the ram head can be found all over ancient Kemet, from the avenue of the ram-headed sphinxes, as we saw below, as we can see below here, to the god Khnum or Amun, which is the ram-headed deity. We can see right here with the sun, okay, with the symbol of Wajet here, and we can see the Uraeus symbols right here, and we can see the god Osa with the horn of Khnum, okay, or Amun. Amun, Khnum is all different names within different creational stories, within different geographic locales along the River Nile family. Now, in relation to the god Khnum, we can see the correlation in Egyptology of the name. While he's associated with being the god of the source of the river Hapi, of the River Nile, his name literally interprets as Lord of created things for himself. This is Khnum we're talking about here. And Khnum is linked to Amun or Amon, as I just stated, who is the transcendental and self-created deity. And we will see why shortly. Okay, so by the Bible story showing that the the alleged idol, who is really Hathor, which is really Taurus, okay, to show the transition from the age of Taurus, it says in Deuteronomy chapter 9, verse 21, and I took your sin, the calf which ye had made, and burnt it with fire, and stamped it, and ground it very small. I don't know what your poston, your what's the thing name? Mortal and pasta, mortal, something like that. You know the thing where you have to grind your family? So it seems it's that yeah. I mean, you are grinding the idol, according to you. And I cast the dust thereof into the brook that descended out of the mount. Okay? So basically, the bull is dead, or the image of the bull is dead. Now, before Christianity or before Catholicism, Romans used to practice Mithraism. And Mithra is another mythological character who has almost the same attributes of Jesus Christ. All right? Now, this prior understanding of killing the bull to transcend from that age into the other, as it is evident that along the Mesopotamian strip, okay, the celestial movements were studied and depicted throughout mythological art. Because Mithraism, okay, was actually practiced by the people of Mesopotamia, by the Iranians, all right? So carvings actually shows an image of Mithra killing a sacred bull. The event takes place in a caravan into which Mithra now, he carries the bull after having hunted and overwhelmed its strength. And while stabbing the bull, he looks over his shoulder at the figure of Saul, Saul Invictus. Saul is basically the Latin name for the sun. But Mithra is the sun, which is why, you know, he's actually staring at the sun to show that significance right there. That's how all the sculptures and things are heavily coded from, right? And this caravan most times is surrounded by a circle in which you can see the 12 signs of the zodiac around the circle, showing that it's all astrotheology family. So when the just let me know. So when Hathor or that cow alleged idol, according to these lying Hyksos, these lying Caucasians, okay, when that idol was burnt, it was to signify the transition from the age of Taurus to the age of Aries, the ram family. Which is why when Moses came down from the mountain, he was horned with horns of a ram because he's signifying Aries. So now that the symbolic nature of Taurus was burnt, meaning that we came from Taurus, And we are now going through the age of Aries, which is all the time they're going to be spending with this Moses character and thereafter. So the second astrological age, the sun has left Taurus, the sun is now in the constellation of Aries family. Okay? And this is the Ram constellation, again at the temple of Hathor in Dendera, in Kemet, in Egypt. All right? So, the second astrological age, okay? The Ram and the Lamb. So while Moses plays the Ram, Jesus the Christ still plays the Ram as well when he just comes on the scene. Why do I say so? Because in John chapter 1 verse 29, the next day, John sees Jesus coming unto him and he said, behold the Lamb of God. Yeah. Behold the Lamb of God, which taketh away the sins of the world. That's what he says. I should have probably read that in a different book. The next day, John seeth Jesus coming unto him and said, behold the Lamb of God, which taketh away the sins of the world. And everyone, you see all these other Hyksos, man, they were watching the cracker, watching pose up there. Watching. But what the family doesn't know, okay, if a lot of the words in the Bible have different origins. So if you go to a concordance, any biblical concordance, but the Strong's biblical concordance is the best. But if you go to the Strong's biblical concordance, code number G286, we have the receipts family. G286, the Greek translation of the word lamb in that sentence translates to the word amnos. What do we need to do, family? Just crumble the letters and you will get Amun. And Amun is the ram-headed deity, as I showed the family of ancient Kemet. Where is it? It's probably too far back now. It's what here it is. Because I did say Kanum and Amun, okay, is linked. They are synonymous within different creational stories. Okay? So Jesus now tries to take on Amun form. Because when you translate the words within the concordance, the word lamb translates as Amnus. So Jesus now plays the role of the lamb presently. Now, this right here, okay, is basically the sine wave or the path that the sun takes. Okay, family? If you can see my mouse right here, is the path that the sun takes. This is the Tropic of Cancer, this is the Tropic of Capricorn. Okay? This is also what I just showed you. This is basically this. All right, family? Tropic of Cancer, 23.5 degrees from the equator north. Tropic of Capricorn, 23.5 degrees from the equator south. Okay? So this is this right here. Now, this, as I stated, is also the sine wave. You can also get the yin and yang symbol from this. You can get a perfect 360-degree circle from this family. But this is the path that the sun takes along the ecliptic. Above the equator, we have 6 constellations, and below the equator, we have 6 constellations. Now, ancient civilizations before any development or any sort of, advancement came to us, family, it was seen that, the ancestors knew that the sun is responsible for all life on Earth. So whenever we had maximum sunlight, it was seen as, we have life and we have light, and it's basically heaven. And it's good because the plant and the sun gives us the good food, and gives the food light, to make the photosynthesis, to make the food so we can, eat the plants and have life. So anything that deals with light, it was seen as good. Okay? So we will call it heaven or the promised land. Now, this is the time period where the sun is above the equator, so you have maximum light. This down here now is where the sun is below the equator and you have more darkness than light. So here you have more daylight than darkness, and here you have more darkness than daylight. Okay? So if on top here is referred to as light, right? Or life, then down here would be referred to as darkness or evil, family. Okay? Because if you're up here in life and you live, to scramble the words back or to turn the words back to front. From live, you get evil. Okay? Good, the opposite of good is evil. The opposite of heaven is hell. The opposite of, well, they say Egypt is where they was taken into captivity or all this and that. So obviously, heaven is the promised land or what have you, or Israel is the promised land. Okay? And basically, you have sin in the darkness, and basically, you have truth in the light. So this is all what it is, family. Okay? This is how I said this is heavily coded. I hope I explained that. Let's go again. From the spring equinox, family, okay, we have spring, where the sun is coming and the flowers are blooming, birds are chirping, bees are buzzing, spring and flowers and everything blooming and coming nice. We have more sunlight. And then we have summer. Summer is quite hot, isn't it? So these 6 months are the 6 months where the sun rules. As soon as the sun passes that equator, we have more darkness. Okay? So we have 6 constellations here, 6 constellations here. Now, Aries, family, remember I just said that Aries was symbolic of Jesus. Okay? Aries was symbolic of Jesus right here. Now, John, who is the baptizer, he deals with water, is symbolic of Aquarius. So Aquarius here is watching Aries, who is Jesus, and saying, behold, behold the Lamb of God, who come to take away the sins of the world. Because remember, when you are darkness, if you're in darkness, you are in sin, family. And the sun, having just crossed the equator, is now in Aries. So the sun now is coming to cast away all that darkness with more light. So this is the sun now, Jesus, the Lamb of God, taking away the sins or the darkness of the world. Understood, family? I really hope the family gets this, I really hope the family gets this. So, within one of the early representations of Christianity, we could see the lamb or the lamb right there. And we could see the lamb, and the blood of the lamb. They need to get off of it, man. Look, you can see them man actually juke the lamb there, and you see the blood there flowing in what are they? I think they call that cup the chalice, and you can see the hoof of the lamb on the chalice. I mean, and it just there freeing up itself and waiting for the blood to flow. And I guess when the chalice full, it will, take its hoof off the cup and sit there. I don't know. You know what I mean? But I brought these pictures to just show the family. This is one of the earliest representations of the Savior, of the symbolic essence of Christianity, that it is the lamb, the ram, what have you. Okay? So this is where the term Lamb of God comes into play. The Lamb of God is a symbolic representation of the sun in the constellation of Aries, family. All right, family? So this is another symbolism in Aries, and this is dealing with Masonry. Because if you look at a lot of these Masonic lodges and these institutions, you will see they have 2 pillars, and most of them sometimes have an arc on top of the door. This arc is referred to as the Royal Arch Masonry. Listen to how these people are very coded with their words and how everything is linked up, family. Royal Arch Masonry. Okay? But the lamb could still be called a ram. Okay? So they call it the Royal Arch because, as I just highlighted, these are the 6 months which the sun rules, family. Okay? And another acronym for ram could be right ascension of the meridian. So the sun, after it crosses the equator, it travels at a right angle. So it travels going right. So they call it the right ascension of the meridian. All right, family? And then after Aries now, after the constellation Aries, the next constellation in line is the constellation of Pisces. So family, from Taurus, we have 2,000 years. We go into Aries, we have another 2,000 years. We come to Pisces, we have 2,000 years. Christianity really solidified itself within the age of Pisces as that, as the esoteric signatures, energy signatures associated with the constellation Pisces is actually that of belief and dealing with the aspect of religion as well. Okay? So, as I said, the religious adherents and zealots who subscribe to the belief that the earth is no longer than 6,000 years old, we can see where this information has presented itself. The oldest book of the Bible being Job, we can see the very first constellation being that of the Pleiades being linked to the constellation of Taurus. So first we have Taurus, then we have Aries, now we have Pisces. Each constellation 2,160 years, so we can see why they actually believe that the earth is no longer than 6,000 years old. But I mean, all you have to do is just go to Kemet and you will see. Really? What was that about? Probably about that family. But then all you have to do is just go to Kemet and you will really see how we have ancient remains of our ancestors, mummies, okay, that have been mummified that are thousands of years old. Okay, so the earth is not 6,000 years old, and if we have mummies of our ancient ancestors thousands of years old, how come we can't find no remains of any of the Hebrew patriarchs of the people or the biblical characters? Huh? Can somebody please tell me? I would like to know, really. I mean, seriously, I would really like to know. So, to signify the third astrological age, we have this Jesus dude, okay, coming on the scene after he's been identified as Aries with John. Now, a little later on, I will show the family why Aries and Pisces are very closely linked together. Now, these individuals come on the scene, they just finish blessing or whatever. He passing on the shore, he see two men, they're fishing, he say, follow me, and I will make you fishers of men. Ou just vin an lesin nan rasa ou avin fè nom, ou vin fè nom ay peche pou nom. Se pou la peche pou pweson pou plen mouden yon rasa ou ay fè peche pou nom. Ki ba yi bati man ou ale la rasa. Ay se pou la peche pou fama. Anyway, within this book, the Bible, while there are instances where Jesus will be referred to with the title as the Lamb of God, the time of Jesus' ministry represents the sun in the constellation of Pisces. And this is evident when the first individuals he come across, I think it was Simon Peter and another one, he tell them, follow me and I will make you fishers of men. Another symbolic representation of Jesus being the sun in the constellation of Pisces, dealing with fish as well, because Pisces is the fish constellation. Okay, remember it's two fishes held by that bond, going in opposite direction. One fish believes and one doubts, right? So another significance of this is that it is said that one of Jesus' miracles is where he fed 5,000 people with 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. Really? 5,000 people with just 2 fish? These fish must have had to be whales or something, I don't know. But there is no way, as in that artist's depiction, I didn't draw this family. You see all the people at the back there, and you see the little 2 balawu the man having the plate there? You only feed 5,000 people with 2 balawu and 5 local bread or 5 casa. Come on. And I used to believe that. I used to drink that. I tell you, so I say some kind of, nice juice or grapefruit juice or something I drink in there. That's how nice I used to drink that, and I used to go down. You check it. But then man wake up and man realize that this thing have something deeper to it. Okay? Now, be it through belief or supernatural powers, we know this is not possible, family. We know this is not possible. You can believe all you want, put 1 plate of food on the table, stay there and believe it will make 5 plates to feed your whole family. It will not do that. You need to wake up. Okay? So this is not possible. So the essence of this scripture is astrological in nature. So all man that want to feel, it wasn't Jesus, because 600 years ago there was no J, so it had to be Joshua. Joshua still didn't pull this stunt off. We need to wake up, man. You get me? So the 2 fish is actually the sun in the constellation of Pisces, because Pisces has 2 fish. Oh, so Simon. So if it's 2 fish, so where the 5 bread come from? If you count the amount of constellations, you have between Pisces, okay, if you count back, let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, the 6th constellation, all right, will be the constellation of Virgo. But Simon, but Jewish, but Virgo not no bread. So how you what? Virgo, okay? Virgo, it says the constellation of Virgo, she holds 2 sheaves of wheat. And it's referred to as Bethlehem or house of bread. Are you seeing me, family? So, house of bread, how many away we have from the house of bread? We have 5. So, we have 2 fish and 5 loaves in the house of bread. Family, it's astrological in nature. Okay? So, he just come on, he say, 2 fishermen, follow me, I'll make you fishers of men. You pull up people hungry, you want to feed 5,000 people with 2 fish. You're still not getting that is symbolic of the Piscean age, family. Huh? And we have these stupid Christian zealots that just basing, oh, but anything is possible once you believe. Well, believe you get a seal in your pocket, then let me see it. Just believe. Okay? I'll wait. So, man need to stop coming at me with them bullshit. This is the age of awakening, yo. We need to take this shit serious. This book and these things have kept us perplexed and confused for too long now. Right? Too long. All of y'all that just want to hold on to this book like it is the divine word of God. Like, Casa, to me, if you're giving praise for that book, you're giving praise for slavery. Because if it wasn't for slavery, you wouldn't have been introduced to these books. Okay? The first time these books were introduced to any melanated species, any melanated race, not just African, was in the advent of slavery. I mean, right now, people being introduced to these books because obviously slavery have been abolished, and the well methodized plan of indoctrination of all these years. Okay, Willie Lynch did say, even though he's fictional or not, I don't give a shit, but he did say if his method is practiced, the indoctrination will go on for another 1,000 years. So as a result, they no longer had to whip us, they no longer had to beat us. All they had, because we had done already believed the story true and the Savior going to come for us. So from time a child born or one of our babies born, yo, come on here about Jesus and come on here about Allah and come on here. That man said, he said, no baby, when they came out the mother's womb, was strapped with one of these books to their ass. Yeah? You just came from God. How you want to get to know God now? Huh? So we need to give it up, family. These books are heavily coded, man. So in John chapter 1, in John chapter 21, sorry, verse 5 to 11, it gives an account of Jesus waiting on the shore. And his disciples come in from the sea, you know. So it's like Jesus walking on the shore, the disciples in a boat there. So he's like, oh, Simon or whoever that on that boat there, what is it there? He said, Jesus, what is it there, guys? We just come inside there, imagine, guys. We ain't catch no fish, you know. Just say, what, am I hungry there, guys? Okay, tell you what to do. Send the fish, send the net on the next side of the boat. When the fellas send the net on the next side of the boat, when they pull, the fellas can't even pull the net up. It is said in the Bible, they had in totality a number of 153 fish. And then he beckoned them to come to shore for them to go and eat some fish now. Okay? Now, what I have to ask the family is, why is it necessary that the Bible had to highlight how many fish were caught specifically? You mean to tell me these disciples sat there and they counted all the fish until they get 153, and then they actually had to put that in the scripture as well? Jesus tell us, send our net on the next time we send the net and we catch 153 fish. Or fishies or whatever have you. Really? No. The number 153, okay, this feet, let me just say, this feet is not a literal for number 1. It's not literal. The fish symbolism is prevalent, as we have just discussed, okay? And number 2, the exact number of 153 is not just merely the amount of fish. The Greek word for fish is ichthys, okay, which is basically the first letter of the 5 words in Greek used as a title for Jesus. So Ichthys is Greek for fish. But that acronym, when you spell it, that actually them man write the thing in code family. Because when you spell it in Greek, you actually get Iosos Christos Theos who was Soter, which basically says Jesus Christ, God's Son Savior. Okay? This is the I, the X, the O, the Y, and the E. Now, if you superimpose the letters all on each other family, this is what you get. It's like a wheel. Okay, so the fish symbol actually comes when you go two overlapping circles, and basically you take the center of one of them and you draw another circle. So the overlapping circles, when you look at the center, you will see it actually makes the fish symbol. This is where, okay, mathematics goes into alchemy, okay, and into the flower of life, even Fibonacci sequence, and we go into numbers and mathematics right now. All right. So that red line, as you can see, when you draw the two overlapping circles, the distance from this point here to this point is actually 153 family. Okay, and remember, Jesus deals with the fish symbol family. This is why Christianity, okay, was very prevalent within the age of Pisces, because this was the age, all right, for them to formalize, okay, and basically come about with this brainwashing indoctrination religion. So after the advent of Mithraism in the Roman Empire, which ended between 1 and 480, roughly 2,000 years ago, Christianity was introduced as an amalgamation of prior religious practices which were previously termed pagan. It was Christianity and the Catholic Church who introduced the Bible, the evidence of fish symbolism in the Bible, the car bumper stickers, okay, of Jesus' name in the fish symbol, and lastly, the Catholic bishop wearing what they refer to as a mitre, which looks like the side angle of a fish with its mouth open. Come on, family, I should just seal it up right there. I should just seal the shit up. Okay? And some of the keywords that symbolize Pisces are deception, illusion, okay, hidden, misled, confusion, and mysteries. So these are some of the energy signatures of the constellation Pisces, which we have been under for the last 2,000 years, family. And the elites who stole this information from our ancestors, and when they did so, they burnt all the rest of the books, so we couldn't come across this information because they had no idea what individuals and light beings who have been called to fulfill this mission, like myself and all the others out there, will now be revealing this information to the masses for us to wake up. But still, you will get some little want to fuck boys and fuck niggas that just want to just stick on these religions, right? Okay, and feel like it's doing something so special to them. I mean, I'm not dissing no one, you know. Well, I'm not attacking you. Sorry, I'm attacking the doctrine, because religion, okay, is the formalization of spirituality. All right, religion has been created by these elites family to keep us spiritually wounded. Okay, and we need to wake up. Now, remember Pisces and Jesus and the level of fish symbolism. So you must be saying, so Jawish, so what is fish symbolism in Kemen, guys? As though I don't know fish symbolism in Kemen. Well, what are going on? But family, in a wide variety of Kemetic texts, like the funerary text, okay, and the pyramid text, there is a myth which involves the god Osa or Osiris, which is the god of afterlife, the underworld, and rebirth. Again, take note of the attributes. Within this mythos, and the family should know the story of Osa. Come on, family. This is our story. We should know this. Okay? Within the myth, and by the time I mention is Osa, you're supposed to know what I'm coming with. Okay? Within this mythos, the god of Osa or Osiris is killed by his brother Set and is dismembered into 14 or 16 pieces. And in an attempt to resurrect her king, the goddess Set or Isis assembled all of the pieces she found. She found 13 pieces. Again, family, I just told you earlier the number 13 is symbolic of the woman. She found 13 pieces, save for the 14th piece, which was his phallus, his penis, okay, Kali, whatever. which was swallowed by a fish. The name of the fish is the name of fish within Kemetic times was Medjed. But then the real name of the fish they actually gave that according to the mythos, okay, was Oxyrhynchus. Now, if we look at this image above here, we'll see Anubis, who is basically Lord of the Underworld, the Unbalmer, has Osiris, which has taken the form of a fish. And in the bottom one, we can see Osiris behind him is Isis and Nephis, okay? With his fish scales on him, family. So what these people trying to show us there, I mean, it's true we related to the stories in a different way. It is nothing original. This is what I want to show the family. So while I'm showing you the astrological ages in the Bible, I'm showing you the origin of these things within Africa, within Kemet. Our ancestors knew all of these things. And as a result, when they came in, they stole all the books. They burned down the Library of Alexandria, which they basically just took and renamed it because they didn't want us to come across any of this knowledge. All right? And this right here is the fish symbol, the Piscean constellation, okay, in the same temple of Hathor in Dendera. Now, the family was saying the vibe probably really jumped from Aries to Pisces quite quickly. This is because, okay, the spring equinox point moving from Aries into Pisces, this diagram you're seeing right here, of the traditional constellation shows Aries the ram, okay, placing his foot at the point where the sun crosses the line of stars symbolizing the first fish of Pisces. The equinox precessed across this point in the year 21 AD. Remember, these individuals are still writing the Bible, family. So this is why Jesus now didn't really play the role of the Lamb of God for too long before he transitioned into his miracles that he did using the fish and even the fish symbolism within his travels, family. So we can see why these two are greatly linked and intertwined together. It is because of this astrological fit that happened, within the celestial abode. Okay? So this picture right here, Jesus on the cross representing the fish and the lamb or sheep, goat, whatever, is being burnt on this makeshift altar, showing this. This picture is basically showing this. Simple, family. Okay? So the sacrificial lamb of the astrological age is symbolic to the sun leaving the age of Aries. Okay? The hot sun burning up the lamb. The lamb, not the lamb, to the lamb one. Burning up the lamb. Represented in the Bible from the offering of the bull to the offering of the lamb. What's with this lamb thing, man? Anyway, though not in astrological order, the scenario with Abraham can also be viewed as a transitioning of the age since he sacrificed the lamb instead of Isaac. So for the age of Pisces, instead of the fish being crucified, Jesus was the one who took the personification of that age. So instead, he had to be sacrificed. Because remember, family, when we live in one age, the thing that represented that age has to be burnt and sacrificed in order for the other age to come in. This is how they do it in the Bible. Okay? So Jesus being sacrificed is basically symbolic of the fish now being burnt and getting ready to transition into the fourth astrological age, because we have touched upon Taurus, we've touched upon Aries, we've touched upon Pisces. Now we come in and touch upon the fourth and last astrological age, which your allegedly or supposedly holy scriptures, Helios Biblios, Sun Book, the sun actually showing us is passing through four constellations within the great year called the precision of the equinoxes. Now, in Mark 14, verse 13, Jesus, Iosos, Yahushua, whatever name you want to call him, and he sent forth two of his disciples and said unto them, Go ye into a city, and there shall you meet a man bearing a pitcher of water. Follow him to know where basically the next Passover will be. Passover, family, remember? So Jesus now is commanding two of his disciples to go into a city and he will meet a man carrying a pitcher of water. But there's only one thing wrong with this. In times of antiquity, men never used to carry water. You always found women at the wells. The well was like the cool out spot for women. I mean, if you want a girl back in the day, just pass by any well. You check it, just pass by the well, you will see all the women there, freeing up, and you go and say, babe, what happened? I can get some water, man. If you're a little thirsty, I should bring your water, you run your chat or what have you. Right? So men didn't used to carry water back in the day. It was women. So if Jesus now telling his two disciples, go into the city and you will meet a man carrying a pitcher of water, where have we seen a man carrying a pitcher of water, family? This is the age we are presently entering. We are just on the cusp between the constellation of Pisces and the age and the constellation of Aquarius. We are in the cusp and we are slowly but surely, steadily approaching this age of Aquarius, which is the age and reawakening of the Great Mother. So according to the cycle of the Great Year, every 26,000 years, each age will take approximately 2,000 years. So the sun, having passed through the past three constellations, which sums up to 6,000 years, we are now within the cusp of Pisces and the constellation of Aquarius. I didn't even read that. I just said, see, I know you're shitting. I know you know you're shit. Anyway, the age of Aquarius is universally called the age of awakening. While many have associated the man with the water pitcher with many waters in terms of hurricanes and what have you, the esoteric energy signatures assented to water are purity, fertility, renewal, intuition, reflection, and subconscious. So this is basically saying, family, all right? The energies, vibrations, and frequencies we on the planet are going to be experiencing, okay, from this constellation, the light energies we're going to be experiencing from this constellation is going to have a serious effect on our intuition and our subconscious, which is why people are starting to wake up to a lot of the bullshit going on. We have taken the veil off of the building. We've seen the illusion for what it is. And we are waking up, family, and they cannot stop the awakening this time round. They cannot stop it. Okay? So, if this Bible that we are saying is very holy, all right, and everything in it happened and transpired, and we even think it is black people. I just showed you that the Hyksos people, and these people call themselves the Israelites, are really Hyksos. These aren't black people. So all these black people dick riding this Israelite or Hyksos bullshit, get off of it. Right? Get off of that bullshit, man. And come home, to the ancestors, to Mama Africa. There is no land more holier than that of Africa. Now, I don't tell a man to just leave where you're going and just up and move on. Because home really is where the heart is. Okay? But then when shit really starts to hit the fan, family, when shit really starts to hit the fan, you know what I mean? But we need to organize and centralize. We can still make our little Africa, because in the beginning, guys, all the countries, everything was joined together in one mass. All right? But I will not really want to give up an island for a continent. But if I can make that island, and if we in the people wake up and realize, okay, the lies and indoctrination we have been plagued with for all these years, we can amass ourselves and come together within this time of awakening and make this island a paradise and a beautiful place. But first off, we need to let go of these oppressive religions. The religions that our oppressor used while he raped and castrated and double castrated us, family. People say, oh, Gaza, but we need to leave slavery alone and slavery. Okay, let's leave slavery alone, right? Let's leave slavery alone. What about the psychological effects of slavery, which we refer to as post-traumatic slave syndrome? What happened to that one, huh? What happened to that one? That one carries on for hundreds of years. If that shit is not bred out of us, when we even have children, we instill that sort of fear of this white man and fear of being cast into hell by this God who supposedly lives in the sky and on his throne and watching all your business and everything you do. And if you don't follow his commandments, he will send you to hell, but he loves you. Okay? So we need to wake up to this. All right? We need to educate the young ones. I mean, I always say that when you educate a bedroom, you educate an individual. When you educate a goddess, when you educate a woman, you educate a generation. Because a woman, every woman that is born has enough eggs inside of her to procreate a whole generation. She is the first teacher, and then the Bible want to come and tell me, oh, women are not allowed to teach. What the fuck? What? So that's why I don't know how I still right. It's like we cherry pick the verses we want in the book, and then the other verses we just cast it behind. The woman, okay, is the very first teacher. If you educate a woman about these sciences, she in turn is going to educate her children. And when her sisters and the family brings the other children around her, they're going to have the stories as well. And they're going to grow up and tell their children these stories. So instead of being raised up and being stuck on this book and and in the beginning, the Lord created the heavens and the earth, and boy, and if I do not do what God said and follow his commandments, and I will go to hell. Come on, man. We need to do away with that. Do away with that. Right? Let's try and grow and build intellectually, okay? For us to grow our economy as a people, for us to be able to sustain ourselves if ever a time approaches where the cracker will say, you know what, we're going to take everything away from you, you know. And he did do that once. He said, you know what, in 1834, August 1st, he's like, emancipation, nigga, you free. Go and do your business, you free. You're like, okay, master, I'll go, but I'll keep the book. Dumbass niggas. Anyway, family, I think that's the last slide. This basically is the fourth astrological age present in Kemet in symbolic reverence of the god Happy of the River Nile, as you can see with the two pictures of water right there. I wanted to go into the debunking the four gospels, but we're going to leave that for another time, right? I do hope that the family basically enjoyed the presentation. I don't even know how long I've been on for, probably like an hour or so, or I don't even know. I'm going to check everything afterwards. Okay? But thank those for, I'm going to thank those for who actually stayed to watch the whole of the presentation, those who didn't get a chance to catch it through whatever reason have you. Tomorrow is Good Friday. Some say Christ, Jesus died on that day and he resurrected on Easter. Okay? Some Rastafarians have some concept where saying, well, Emmanuel actually died on a Tuesday and he raised up on a Friday to keep the Sabbath because he's Lord of the Sabbath, and all these stories to just keep our people more in some kind of a mental delusion. Okay, so let's wake up from this, family. So we have shown that these stories, while they have some element of truth, are not entirely true, family, and it is a heavily quoted book, as I just showed you the four astrological ages within the Bible. And having said that, family, I want to thank the family for even taking the time to even be with us, right? And hopefully we're going to continue in part 2 of this, where we go on to debunking the four gospels, and we're going to touch upon the four horsemen in Revelation. That is nothing to be actually scared about. Okay, family? So again, I want to thank the family for coming in. It has been beautiful. It has been lovely, man. And peace to the family. Nothing but divine love for y'all. Hotep. Love and bliss.